Alright, we're going to do a quick rundown of what my digital space now looks like, just so you guys can see what the desk and the accessories and all that look like. But yeah, let me flop this camera around and we'll do that. Alright, we're going to ignore this side because that's plugged into an Xserve that's mounted down here, and I'm not using it right this moment, and I don't use it most days, so we're going to talk about over here, which is where the bulk of my work gets done. I know this is going to look ridiculous to you, but this is a original iPad 1 on an Apple keyboard iPad dock. It's plugged in, it's charging, although it still holds charge. It's got audio plugged in, more on that in a second, and I know this seems deeply antiquated, but as it turns out, a lot of the apps that are on here still run totally perfectly, and currently I'm using it as a blogging station with WordPress, so I can just do all of my dedicated blogging on that, upload directly, and not have to tie up anything on the main machine. The main machine over here is this is a pair of leftover monitors I had kicking around, mounted on a double VESA stand. You can see it in the back. Apologies for just the abhorrent cable mess, but you'll see why it's complicated. And those are plugged into an old Mac Mini that's over here. It's had a little bit of RAM updated in it, and it's got a SSD in it. And you'd think that it's really slow, and for some things it is. For editing videos, it's quite slow. But for like web browsing and all of that, totally adequate. And the reason for that, to large degree, is actually because of this little box right here, which is mounted to the bottom of my monitor. This is a, so it's a Raspberry Pi 3, I believe. I'd have to look up exactly the model, but it's running Pi-hole, which is essentially a DNS server. But what's neat about it is that it, if you request a web page and you go through this DNS server, if it spots a IP or a DNS listing to a known ad serving service, it won't make the request. So it doesn't block stuff, it never requests the data in the first place. And so because of that, if I open something like CNN, which is usually just like littered with ads and bandwidth gobbling awfulness, it loads almost instantly, even on an old computer, because all I'm getting is the actual CNN content off it, for example. Anyway, so this is a Raspberry Pi that does all that. You can see it's hardwired into my Ether network down here, just because it's faster and more reliable than my Wi-Fi. It's got this lovely little display. This is part of a kit from Adafruit. These buttons are not actually set up to do anything, but this is just displaying real-time stats on the ad blocking it's doing, what condition it's in, what resources it's using. And as you can see down here, it's very light on the resources. I have a number of people in the household. We occasionally use quite a bit of bandwidth, and even then this thing never hiccups whatsoever, which is kind of delightful. Anyway, a fantastic addition to your home network if you're looking for something relatively inexpensive that makes a massive difference and can eke quite a bit of life out of older electronics as a result. Current iPhone charging. I'm filming on my old iPhone because it actually has a mic in port on it, and my new one doesn't, so can't plug my thing in. That is yet another original iPad, and this one is set up as sort of a utility thing. Get her on, and you'll notice that it is both plugged in and charging, though it will hold a charge, and it is plugged in with a audio cord, as is that guy. That stand actually has a line out on the back of it, which is kind of nice. And that guy, and that guy, and this computer are all running through this. So this is an undersized, it's a 6-channel audio mixer. And it is too small for my needs at this point. But I long ago found that I prefer analog interfaces for a lot of control systems. So if I'm looking at, if I've got a bunch of things down here that make noise, that includes the Xserve that's over that way. Everything is patched in through here, and that means that I can control where my sound is coming from, how much of each thing I'm getting. If I want to mute the whole thing, I can literally just kill a knob with the thing. I can adjust each channel independently, which is just nice. I need to upgrade this at some point to like a 10 or 12 channel system because I've run out of inputs, and It's sort of suboptimal in that way, but it is a very nice thing to have, and everything is running through that, which is great. Oh, sorry, one last thing. For peripherals, this is my sort of standard keyboard. This is a mechanical keyboard, so it actually has like mechanical switches in it, which feel really nice. These are Cherry MX Clears, if you're into that sort of thing. And the keycaps are custom printed by WASD. And they are color-coded, roughly speaking, to video editing hotkeys for me, which is nice. I've got, I don't know, whatever random mouse I've been using for the last couple years. And then newest edition is this guy over here. It's in sleep mode right now. If I turn it on, you can actually see. So that is a Adafruit Neo Trellis M4 kit. That just came back into stock, and mine came in the other day. And basically, these are keys. Each one has a RGB assignable LED underneath them, and it's got quite a bit of processing power. I'm using it for sort of the bare minimum of what it will do right now, but each of these is color-coded down here. So this guy has been programmed to take a screen cap of both of the screens and dump it to the desktop. This guy puts my computer into screensaver immediately. This guy launches music. This is volume up, volume down, mute. And then these are dedicated buttons for launching apps. So this launches Chrome, this launches iMovie, this launches Notes, and this launches Terminal. So it allows me really quickly, if I just want to bounce it into my screensaver, it just does that. If I want to take it back out of screensaver, it does that. If I want to bring up Chrome, well, that's not quite right. The problem with some of the Macs is that you end up with like hotkeys bound that you didn't realize were there, so you have to go through and clear out a bunch of that. Anyway, that's the basic setup that I'm running right now. Basic kind of being a hilarious term for it. It's twice as complicated because a lot of that stuff exists over here on the bigger computer. And if you'll notice, there's not another set of peripherals over here for that. There's a laptop from work buried underneath. But I'm running I have a USB switch back here that allows me to, this goes to the Xsurf, and this guy goes to the Mini, and then all these peripherals are bound to those. So I can sort of toggle back and forth with this button here and have one set of peripherals here that I actually like that I can swap between the two computers, which works pretty well for right now. Anyway, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm feeling pretty good about the setup. I realize a lot of this stuff is quite old, kind of antiquated by today's standards, but it really does seem to do the trick for me. So, thanks for watching. Enjoy your holidays, and I'll catch you on the next one.